In part one, I forgot one important aspect of the nanometallic particles in chemtrails. When you get down to a certain size level, metallic particles can be ignited with radio waves of a certain intensity and frequency. So it's possible that HAARP may be used at the right intensity and frequency to sweep across a nation and set people's lungs on fire from the inside. And there'll be nothing you can do about that, and in gasping for air, you'll just be bringing in more oxygen, which will increase the fire. At the Denver airport, the very bizarre artwork there, I think there is a hint of that. They show vertical walls of fire across a landscape, and people are running away screaming from that. So this is the kind of insidious interstellar culture weapon that may be being planned for what was one lady who calls this the Great COLIN. From past life regressions, we have the data that at some time in the far distant past, the local star systems were judged to have a population problem which was unsolvable. So the solution was to take half of that population and bring them here and kill everybody. And this was very upsetting for the 250 billion people who were living here peaceably on this planet. And that's how many people this planet could support. So the 6 billion of us that are going to become 12 billion, that are going to become 18 billion, it's not really a burden if the place was managed properly. And there is a group of people talking about that. It's called the New Civilization Game and other things. But this, we have to kill everyone rather than become good managers, is a dramatization of that historical event, which is a sad reality. And this is a group psychosis that needs to be expunged from the group. But for that to happen, the group has to be conscious enough to realize it has a group of psychosis. And the 1% of the psychotics are the people who are the most effective this, and unfortunately they climb their way up into positions of power as part of their mental deficiency. They think a lot of themselves. They have extra testosterone, so they have big sexual needs, and testosterone makes you feel powerful, and you want to express that power. There's a catchphrase that came out of that, which is, "We are the wolves and they are the sheep." Which I find particularly irksome. So chemtrails are what's coming in through the air that you breathe, which is here. The second big suppression is fluoride in the water, which comes in here. And fluorine is a very, very deadly gas. It'll kill you in microseconds. The main use of fluoride is to make people docile. And if you're fluoridating a nation, you are making the nation docile. Well, this is a dystopian type of weapon, and a dystopia is the opposite of a utopia. It's where things are dark and dreary, and no one's having any fun, and everyone's living in fear. Filmmakers have been warning us about that for 100 years. And the third avenue of attack is through the eyes, which is the kind of images we're being fed mostly through hours and hours of television watching, and they even call it programming. The quality of what goes in as far as what you eat, drink, breathe, and see affects your future. These are foods, in a way, and it's obvious. What if you don't eat and drink, you'll die. If you don't allow someone to breathe for a few minutes, they die. And if you look at this is 40 days without causes death, 3 to 7 minutes without causes death. How sensitive must this arena be? And the biggest and most obvious use of negative impressions is the video games that are being constructed for young people. Are mostly war games or very violent kickboxing type games or very aggressive driving type games. And in the guise of entertainment, there are billions of impressions going in to that generation, which will at some point have to be dramatized. And I think part of the overall plan is to prepare that generation to live in a world of constant warfare and destruction and complete lack of anything beautiful or human. It's going to seem natural that this occurs, as everything we receive as information through the mass media is controlled by the same people who are operating the chemtrails and the fluoridation. There doesn't seem to be any justice anywhere. There's constant scandals in the political arena, and yet nothing is done about it. We just had an election here in British Columbia, and the premier we had was a replacement for someone who was supposedly forced to retire because he was so unpopular, but he then got an ambassadorship from Canada to England, which is a way better job. So someone filled in until the end of his term, and at this election she was unable to get re-elected in her own riding. So this will be her second term as an unelected premier of a province. Her main competitor, I jokingly said he had to get out on bail to be able to run his campaign because he has big problems of his own. There is a concept called emotional tone level in the esoteric schools, and this is where you take the genetic organism and you put a spirit into it, and at a 50-50 mix you have a normal person, and the more pain you pound into this unit, the tone level gets lower and you get more matter, energy, space and time, and less spirit. And at some point you have a mechanical sleeping automaton. And most of these political people are what I would call low-toned, and this is not the kind of person you want to have leading your society. You want a conscious humanitarian, not a sleeping machine, and especially not a psychotic sleeping machine, which is what we have. And if I was not doing spiritual things, I would be doing political things, and I save clips from newspapers of people caught doing things. And they're all politicians, and I don't want to spend my life doing that. But all you have to do in any morning is open up a newspaper and go through it and take out the political corruption scandals, and they go on and on. And it's time for that to stop. I'm told that the crystal and indigo kids who are arriving are the people who will actually force the change. They're not going to put up with this BS that's going on right now. And part of the previous suppression on this planet, there was a scalar net around the planet to prevent people from escaping. It was about 25 miles up and about 1,000 feet thick. And it was designed to program spirits who tried to leave here to want to come back and do more work and help. And designed also to aberrate anybody coming in here with electronic implants that would assist in the prison planet aspect of this place. So this place, you can come in here easily, but it's basically impossible to get out, or was impossible to get out. And what is going on is people are here trying to assist the group to escape from a game that was designed to last for all eternity. A philosopher once said, if you were looking for hell and found earth, it would serve. There's an old story from Greece called the Sword of Damocles. Damocles was an ordinary citizen who did something amazing, and so the rulers invited him to dine with them, and it was a fabulous feast with dancers and torches, and he said to the king, "It must be wonderful to live like this." And the king said, "Yes, but at any moment the population may rise up and slaughter us." And he asked Damocles, he said, "Look above your head," and above Damocles was a sword hanging by a single human hair. And if the hair had snapped, the sword would have come straight down and gone through Damocles' head or shoulders. And he said, the king said, "Our position here hangs by a thread." And why I'm telling you this is historically every couple of 100 years the average people get tired of being pushed around by the rulers, kings, aristocracy, whatever you want to call it, and they slaughter them. And the problem with that has been you just get another group of the same kind of people. So that may be what's coming up with this increase in awareness of the injustice of those who run the planet. Somebody emailed me this morning and asked me what can I do, and something I'd like to suggest is making signs out of 4x8 white sheets of polychlor and going to a sign shop and purchasing large black letters and writing on it, "Chemtrails, death from the skies," and then hanging that somewhere in your city where it will take a few hours for them to take it down, hopefully where the most rush hour traffic will see it. And if it starts appearing, people are going to wonder what it is, and hopefully look it up on Google and find out about it. And if it gets big enough, it might actually get on the news and start a conversation, which is a level it will be nice to take this to. Also, I have a pamphlet I give out. If you email me, I can send you a copy of that, and you can get it printed up in your town and just hand it out to anyone and everyone that you meet. Okay, well, that's part 2 of Killing Me Softly. This kind of thing is called soft kill. It's not machine guns and bombs, it's just very insidious, but it still winds up with you dead. These people plan on using all of the technology that you've developed over the last 2,000 years and running off into the future and enjoying all of that, and keeping a small workforce to hoe cabbages and carrots for them. It's not the future I had in mind.